back for another race car episode, and today we're going to install some Spike Performance Fender Vents. So if you saw our hood vent install, which we'll link up here, this is by the same company. It's Jim Booth over at Spike Performance. Huge shout out for sending these over to us. He's got merch too, you should go buy his merch. These are really high qualities. He bends every one of these by hand. They're all powder coated, so it's a nice durable finish. Before we get to this, we are going to install the vinyl that helps you line it up on the door. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, you can see I've got a black Sharpie line here. That's 14 3/4 of an inch from the back of the fender. I just really picked kind of, probably 4 or 5 inches up from this crease, and there's an imaginary line here now. So that's going to line up with the backmost edge of this piece of vinyl. So this is pretty simple. It's pre-cut by him. And if you look, there's pre-cut out holes for where you'll drill for the rivets later, so it's super nice. And this just sticks to the fender, and that's your cutting guide. This part, it's easier because it's vinyl. If you put like some sort of soapy water or lubricant on the backside, just so you can move it around if you need to. I found it easier to not use it because then you don't have to wait for it to dry, and I'm extremely impatient. So the top flat line here, if you picture, you can kind of see it in the right angles. There's a line here on the fender. You want to be parallel to that. Nothing else, like these lines are not parallel to the front or back of the fender. This line traces this line here that goes on the fender. This one's pretty scratched up, so it's pretty easy to see. Should make installing it pretty simple. It will peel off if you get it wrong. And then once you get it stuck down real nice, just grab a corner and peel back. This is kind of finicky if you put like a adhesive spray underneath it or some sort of water underneath it, because it will want to go with you, but that's all it is. And this is a perfect matchup to your fender vent. Quick tip, if you have a dark fender, this helps a lot. You can clearly see the outline on here, but our other fender is Montego, so black on Montego is kind of hard to see. So I took a gold Sharpie on that side, but on this side I'm gonna use a black Sharpie, and I just traced the inside cut line, just literally run the vinyl. That way, if you lose the vinyl on a fender like this, you can still see where you're supposed to cut. And then on a dark fender, if you use something like a silver or a gold Sharpie, it really makes it stand out. It doesn't hurt to spot the rivet holes either. So the next step, once you put the vinyl on, outlined it and everything, is to actually cut your fender apart. I know this is a nice sunburst fender. It's one of the better colors, but it's gotta go. So before we cut, big tip, PPE. Full face shield if you're using a cutoff wheel, gloves, and I've got ear pro in, so I can't hear myself talk right now. I've seen these go. You don't want one in your face. So just take the extra couple minutes and put some gear on. But this is easy. So you can either do this with a cutoff wheel. I believe this is a 4.5 inch wheel. You can use a Dremel. I just don't want to sit here for 10 minutes dremeling out the fender. So if this were like a street car, I would recommend using a Dremel and taking the time, making it look nice. I'm going to cut right through this and literally spray paint that part of it black. So I'm not worried how it looks in the end. And there's the benefit that the fender vent will cover a lot of your cuts. So let's throw some sparks. There's two ways to do this. I'm going to show you the way that I do it. The instructions call out drilling the holes first, or at least drilling one hole first. That's great if you've perfectly cut the template out. I clearly have not, so I'm going to peel this off now. I'm going to cut an extra step. Because this is a track car and I don't care about the rest of the paint, I just don't want this to rust. I'm going to hit it with some black. The whole car will be wrapped in black later, so not a big deal. If this is your personal car, touch-up pen in here would be perfect just to seal it in. You don't want rust starting underneath your fenders or anything like that. So I'm going to hit it real quick. Look away. So don't be shocked, but the whole fender is now black. We were looking at it, and while the yellow looked cool, we're gonna wrap it anyways. So for the sake of movie magic and pictures and whatnot, we just spray bombed it black real quick. The next step is to drill the first hole for this. So since there's no more tape here or anything that tells me where I have to drill, this is gonna be pretty easy. We're gonna set this piece in here, and I kind of do a test fit first. This is flat, this is not. So push the corner down and make sure it doesn't bind up anywhere, and then just release this spot, and that's where you want to drill this top left hole here. Don't install the rivet yet, just set it in as a guide. And then now you'll do the same thing you did earlier, push the bottom in, make sure it all fits, and then this might pop out, so just be careful, but drill the opposite hole now. We're gonna do the rest of the holes in order. So we started here on the top, we're gonna do the next one over just to kind of keep the flow going and push any excess away. So we're gonna drill this hole and rivet it next.
So I've been behind the camera this whole process, and from what I can tell, this is way easier than the hood vents.
Yeah.
Would you say that is correct?
The hood vents weren't hard, but you're cutting through 2 to 3 pieces of metal and you gotta get it all to line up. So this, it's just one piece. It's super easy, and yeah, it probably takes a whole 10 minutes if you're not filming the whole process. If you want a set, they're on his website.
Yeah, and Jim, thanks again for partnering with us on this video. The link down in the description to Spike Performance's website where you can buy these, a set of the hood louvers, as well as a bunch of other parts on there. So like these, what other kind of mods would you guys like to see on this race car? This is gonna be our major build for the winter, and we're open to feedback. We definitely have a lot of ideas on what we wanna do, and we gotta keep it within a budget, but down below, comment saying what we should do to this thing for the winter.
So I had reached out to Jim also from Spike Performance a couple weeks ago, and I had mentioned to him that we were still running stock door bushings. So in order to catch people's eye when we open the door, I asked for the most obnoxious door bushings possible, and this is what he sent. So these are, we're gonna call them Goldschlager door bushings. It is literal suspended like gold flake glitter inside of a clear door bushing, and we're gonna throw this on and see what it looks like. So included in the kit, he sends new hardware, which is really nice. It's just an M4mm hex head. We will have to readjust these once we put a door on the car, but that's quick. Loosen them, shut the door a couple times, and tighten them. And yes, we did spray paint all of this black as well. So there you go. Look at that pop against the nice black finish.
As always, thanks for watching and stay tuned. I gotta say, just like the hood vents, they look awesome, and I now want them on my car too.